Then I'm going to give the word to Mendel from the University of Amsterdam. As I was saying before, Mendel is using Tygron in his course for students on climate-proof cities, and he can tell us a little bit about how he does this, and some experience of himself and the students. Mendel.
Yes. Let me try to share screen. I think this. That works? You can see the screen?
Yeah, very good.
So this is, of course, Strategic Planning for Climate-Proof Cities. It's in the Master of Urban and Regional Planning at the University of Amsterdam. And last year, I only used the climate game. And so this year, I thought I'll try and integrate a bit more the Tygron engine in the course. We have quite a broad key learning objectives, as we use the significant learning theory from L.D. Fink. But as you see, we have quite a lot of objectives that don't specifically have to do with planning software or GIS software. And so it's really a content-driven course about strategic planning in climate-proof cities. And we try to see if we can add this, the Tygron software to it. And so we use this framework in general for their group project to work on a climate-proof plan, start with the exploration and analysis of understanding the problem, then try to create a vision, and then work from that vision in a backcasting exercise towards a final plan with an elaboration on it. And the idea was that within each group, everybody would take a different stakeholder, and so that they would create actually different, how would you say it, different optimal plans from the perspective of that stakeholder between the exploration phase and the visioning phase, and that they would bring it together in Tygron and discuss it and present it, and then create a general plan from stakeholder negotiation. So this was our weekly planning, first introduction, and in the red you see the Tygron tutorials. So we had an intro to the software, we discussed maps and indicators, then we worked more to directions of how to put in interventions and actions. Then we had a co-creation session, and the idea was then have a presentation. And let me see if I can also, Herre, who I think is in this session as well, which is a student of our research master, and he prepared this kind of manual we used also to explain how Tygron worked, how it works when you have overlays and indicators, when you have intervention actions, and what to do then. So that was actually a good start and a good way of organizing it. So what went well, and students were able to gather data for their analysis from the engine. So they had, so they were able to do the overlays of the rainfall overlay and these kinds of aspects and understand what was the problem. So they could substantiate their analysis and their first ideas of what are actually the problems in those areas they were assigned to do. And some students were able to support the plan also with calculations by the Tygron engines. But in the end, there were only a few of the students that were able to achieve this within the software. So students saw a potential use and saw the relevance for their future career. And also the tutorials on the website helped quite a lot for students to understand, okay, but what am I actually supposed to do? But there were actually quite a lot of difficulties as well. As the first was more of the technical side. So many of the students were actually unable to get the software going due to graphical driver issues, working on a Mac. But we also had the same problem with our GIS lab, which also led to problems of having an alternative for students to go to if their own computers don't work. So that was quite a difficulty. So it's also quite important to really check beforehand that in ieder geval your backup of the GIS lab works actually with the Tygron engine. And we also found that students, because we have a very social science master program, that for many of the students, the designing the interventions to change the attributes and these aspects was really a step too far. Even with the tutorials online, they still found it quite difficult and challenging, and also challenging when things didn't work on how to actually then to get it to work. So that was quite difficult. And for me, of course, it's also difficult to help them because I'm also not a technical expert in the Tygron engine myself. So that was a difficulty. And finally, it was difficult also to combine with the content-driven social science course, because we had certain subjects and we tried to align the subjects with the interventions and the technical aspects. But still, we found we needed either more time for the content or more time for the explanation of how to use the software and how to go through it. And so in this 6 ECTS course, to combine content-driven social science with also learning new software is, proved a bit challenging, to say at least. So things going forward, we're thinking of maybe whether we should have it as an integral part of the course, or that maybe it would be better if we move it more to the direction of the GIS courses we also teach, because those are courses that are focused on the technical aspects of using software and how to work with that. So that's a discussion that's ongoing, but also because next year it will remain the same, but the year after, the methodology and GIS courses will move before this climate-proof cities course. So that might help the integration, because then it will be better placed in the curriculum. So before we started or ended with the climate game, and that works quite well. And that would at least show the students also that there is the option to continue with the Tygron engine and to use it in their thesis and these aspects when they have more time or when they're more technically interested, because we also have quite a lot of students that are less technically able or technically interested in using software. And I was thinking, as maybe more and more teachers use Tygron, we could also consider creating a MOOC or like an online session as you have with ArcGIS, so that you can actually refer to students taking that thing online instead of doing it in your lectures. And then in your lectures, you can really focus more on applying it to the content. And I think as more and more people teachers start incorporating Tygron, that it might be actually a quite efficient way of organizing, that students have the technical capacities to work with the Tygron engine before they start applying it to the content. So that was a bit my sharing my experience of last year.